Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel where we review anything and everything. And today we are getting into this portable or mini gaming PC as you see it reads in front of you from Ace Magician. Now, I recently wanted to get into the space of gaming. I haven't gamed in probably over I want to say it's been about 13 or 14 years. So, recently decided to try to get back into that space a little bit, just here and there casually, nothing major. I didn't want to spend a whole bunch of money on a huge gaming PC. So I went and consulted with a friend who told me kind of the specs that I could kind of get away with, more so for gaming with some of the games that I used to play back in the days about like 13 or 14 years ago, but just on a modern system where I could play online, because a lot of dated systems that were from maybe console systems that were about like 13 years ago no longer are supported to be online. So I spoke to a friend who pretty much guided me to these type of specs, saying that he pointed this out and said, the specs that come with this would be good, or anything similar to the specs that come with this. I'm going to go over those specs in a few, but with that, I was like, okay, jumped into this. Now I had grabbed this on eBay, but if you're a little funny with shopping on eBay, I'm going to have a link in the description for you to purchase this same type of model on Amazon. And from there, when you click on that, you'll probably start seeing in the below area, when you kind of drag down from the main one, you'll see how on Amazon you have a list of other similar products. You have other similar brands that have similar things. Generally speaking, this would go for on Amazon somewhere around that $300 to $400 range. On eBay, you're probably looking about $250 to $300 range. So it's a little bit cheaper on eBay. So this one on eBay was going for $300, which is kind of a deal because it actually had more RAM than most of the ones that were going for. Most of them were going for about 250, 200 and maybe 30 to 275 with 16 gigs of RAM. And this had 32 gigs of RAM for 300. So a little bit more, but then it wasn't that bad, but it's refurbished. So it's not brand new, where some of those other ones would have been brand new. So consider that also as something. Before I unbox this, take a look at, let me change up the angle a little bit. Now behind you, see I have an old monitor. I was gonna play this on my TV, but have an old monitor just in the background because I'm gonna try to see if I can plug this in. I do not currently have a working mouse. I thought I did, I had an older mouse, but it's really not working that well. So I have a keyboard, old keyboard. We'll be able to plug this in and just see that it turns on. Now here goes the specs on the back. You have AMR, it says the model name, AMR5. I guess they have different versions. The color says gray. The 32 gigs, as I mentioned before. The ROM is, well, this is really the hard drive space. They put it as ROM, but hard drive space is 512 gigabytes. And the processor on this is actually supposed to be an AMD Ryzen 7 5800U. So for those who are familiar with that, would know what that means. Like I said, I had to consult with a friend who kind of told me the difference between what's what and allowed me to kind of figure out to go with this, and said that should be good enough for gaming. And then afterwards I started looking at some videos online about this and saw that it was capable of handling at least all the games I would want to play, and probably some of the newer games as well, but just maybe having the specs a little dumbed down on certain things like frame rates and whatnot if need be. So if you're like one of those super top tier gamers, this might not be for you, but also consider that if you're just trying to jump in on a budget, this might be okay for you. Now, one other thing I want to say is a little quick disclaimer. I think is very important. I've seen some videos, or at least seen one video, and some talks about people saying that this company had, at least this is about 2 years ago, had spyware in their products. So they're getting people to jump in on these affordable gaming PCs, and this could be a lot of different companies, so it may not be limited to this company. So the advice I'm going to give you pertains to pretty much with all of the mini PCs, gaming PCs that you might get out there. And even if you get them new, I would say be careful, because the people who are making note of this back at that time were getting them brand new, not even refurbished. And this was an issue. You can see some of the box right there, that they had the spyware on them. And I think that was just something where a lot of these companies, what they're doing is when they make these kind of small form factor PCs, mini PCs, gaming PCs, knowing that they're targeting people who want to get into gaming really bad and they just want something really, decently powerful. Essentially, they are going to, some of those companies, I think it's called white labeling or whatever. It's where you see on Amazon where you have like a design and whatever kind of thing it is, whatever kind of electronic device it is. And many different companies will slap their badge on it, but they're just pretty much copies of the same thing. And when companies do that, all that is not some huge, big company. It's some person or a couple of people who decide to make up their own little company, and they decide to buy parts and they put them into that, at least when it comes to PCs. Other branding things, like say if someone does it with fragrances or does it with like other electronic devices, USB hubs, any kind of thing you could think of, and you see multiple versions of it and you go, oh, like I'm shopping this in Amazon, and you see multiple versions of it, but it has different brands on it, brands you never even heard of. Often that's just simply as just a regular person or a group of people, small group, who decide to make their own company to get some money, and they put whatever they want into it. So with that being said, understand that when it comes to things like this, and even if it's brand new, they still can I'm not saying they will, but they can put malware, spyware into the product just for the sake of getting you. Because keep in mind, they're not a big company that has to worry about getting attacked. And when I say not a big company, I'm meaning they're not Apple size, they're not Samsung size, Google, or nothing like that. So they will do little tricks like that. So my suggestion to you guys is, as I seen on the video I was watching in regards to it, is take your PC after the fact, bring it to a place or somebody that you know who's familiar with it. Let them go through it, explain to them the situation of what could be, and they will know how to go through it to make sure there's no malware or spyware on it. So here it comes to tell you all the basics that go along with it. They're in a different language. Nice packaging. Obviously, like I said, it's refurbished, and you can see that because of the way that it is set up. Let me change my angle just a little bit more so I can hold it a little more in view. And here you go. USB-C on it. Now on the description, it said this is a 2025 product. So all that means is that it was made in 2025. It doesn't mean that the parts are necessarily super brand new, but it could just simply be that the time that they made it or put it, like they started putting these things together, that, company. So, yep. We're going to get into this in a moment. I'm going to just put this aside. See what else is inside the box. We've got a couple of different things. Memory compatibility list. So I guess that's for expanding the memory on here. And this right here says that you can't really see it in black. It says accessory. So at least we got this nice packaging, which is nice. We've got HDMI cable, which is nice because it comes with, I actually had a HDMI cable on hand, but seeing now that it comes with it, I will just end up using this one, I guess. I don't know if I had some old one laying around, because I always keep extra cables laying around, but who knows if one is better than the other. I know there are differences between some, but who knows? But since this one comes with it and it's for gaming, let's assume that it's good enough. You have this wire right here, which plugs into the brick. And then the brick will plug into the computer and whatnot. Now, I'm going to take all this, I'm going to package this back up really quickly, and I'm going to move this to the side. Now, I have my portable battery station on hand because I am going to plug this in here. Now, let's first see. Let me just go over this real quickly just to say these are the front ports. No, this is the front port, yes, because you got the audio jack. Make sure you guys can see with my lights and all. We've got the audio jack, USB, I'm gonna assume there's USB 3, and you got the Type C, and then this is considered the back, and you have USB-C, USB 3.0, two of them, DP display port, which I'm not, to be honest with you, I haven't come into the space of desktops in a long time. I had a MacBook, which I work on, but it doesn't have display ports, just USB-C. So display ports, I really don't know. I'm not familiar with how those work in terms of like what those connections are considered, because I'm used to the days of VGA, DVI, which, let me just grab real quick. I purchased this not that long ago and just did a quick unboxing on this not long ago, which is HDMI to DVI for old monitors like that. I'm just using what I have. Like I said, I'm going to end up probably putting that on the TV. Obviously HDMI, and then obviously your LAN that is for your internet. Now, and then the power cable space there. Now, there's supposed to be a way to pop this whole thing right off. It's this side. The right side, just try to remember that so you guys aren't tugging on the left side. And it comes with Lexar memory, which is actually pretty decent, just to be able to say that, you know, as far as the brand goes, that it's a known brand, 16 gigs. So you got the second one back there. So that's giving us 32, which is great. And we have this right here is our memory. So not memory as in RAM, but hard drive space. So I could put another one there, which is nice. So maybe down the line, if that's cheap, I will throw that on there. It's funny, they say it's held in place by just some rubber bands, I think. So I don't know. Well, maybe not, because it's got the screw there too, but I've heard people say that before. So we're gonna pop this back on. At least it's confirmed that I've got my, yeah, and it tells you right there, the label points, I'm sorry. SSD and the DDR. So I'm glad that I can confirm that it has that memory, which is great, the RAM. So what I'm gonna do really quick is, oh, I'm sorry. I meant to, like I said, I'm new to this. I meant to point this out too. This is just a kind of switch to give you kind of different levels of power. Silent is gonna be working on like almost like an eco mode. Auto, which is kind of in between, it's going to fluctuate where it needs to go, and performance is going to have it constantly drawing as much power as it can and constantly be ready for the load of video games. So I guess if you are a energy conscious person, you could run this on the light mode, silent mode, whenever you're doing anything other than gaming, and it should be sufficient for that. So for now, I'm just going to leave it on auto, and I'm just gonna pause real quick. I'm going to just plug in my monitor. Now, like I said, unfortunately, I do not have a mouse right now. I thought that I was gonna have a mouse. I had an old mouse. This mouse, the battery, I plug in the batteries, they're not working. I'm not getting anything from it. So I think the mouse is trash. It's old though, so it's not the mouse's fault. And I am going to just try to operate with the keyboard just to see that it plugs in. I'm not going to do anything crazy. I just want to see that I'm able to get power, and that's really it, because like I said before, I am actually going to be bringing this to that same friend who recommended me this, and then I'm going to have him wipe out and reinstall Windows. This should be coming with Windows 11. I'm going to have him wipe it out and reinstall it. Once again, as a cautionary for you guys who are trying to go in this budget route, dealing with these budget companies, I definitely recommend, yes, it's a nice way to get into gaming for cheap, but at the same time, I definitely will recommend to you guys strongly that you look into that, because it has been reported that people have had their information stolen. This 2 years ago, and though the company might, you know, say that they fixed any kind of problem like that, or they didn't know about it, or whatever the case is that they're going to tell you, do not trust companies. They are never to be trusted. Not small ones, not big ones, not any of them really. But I mean, in this case, it's, you know, big companies at least have their reputation on the line. They'll end up not making any more sales. So give me 1 second, you guys. All right, you guys, we are plugged into the back. I'm just gonna now run this cable over to the system. There we go, we are plugged in. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna turn my battery bank on because I did not do that yet. I'm gonna give it like about 10 seconds just to kind of run its course a little bit. Let the juice kind of go into each item, into the monitor and into the computer. Let me see. Oh, I did not plug in the monitor. Sorry about that, you guys. All right, we are plugged in now there. Now, one thing I'm going to say too is that little wheel that I said for the performance, silence, and auto on this device actually is, it's very loose. I actually don't like that. It does have, like where it has like it falls in line, so a slight click, but even then, you can see it's got a little bit of wobble and it just turns very easy. So, I mean, if this is set somewhere, you're not going to be touching it much. So it's nothing to worry about. But at the same time, too, I don't like that. Now, we're going to turn it on. And let's see if it actually works. If it goes to the screen, at least. It's actually on. But let's see if it goes to the screen because I've never done this before. So you guys are seeing this firsthand. Now, one thing that was told to me before, I don't know too much. Like I said, I haven't actually used a Windows computer in a very long time. And in addition to that, I haven't, I don't know if, you know, how things are supposed to go when they get set up. But someone had mentioned in a video before that when you're starting off, certain things like say like, I don't know, like you shouldn't go straight to the main screen. You shouldn't have browsers already set up, but someone was saying that Chrome was already installed in theirs one time, which is not a good thing in that main video I was watching before. So I'm not too sure. But like I said, this is just to kind of get it going, get it started. And other than that, I'm not going to really, do much with it right now until I have a chance to really have things wiped. So I'm going to take my very old keyboard and I'm plugging it in. Let's see here we go. This is very old and dusty, but I always kept a regular USB plug-in keyboard because I actually had one that was wireless way back and that stopped working. And I just realized to myself, always have a wired version. And I know I got a wired mouse somewhere, but I just don't know where it is, somewhere in storage. Always keep a wired version of everything, always on hand. I feel that's just the way I feel, just in case. You never know. You never know. Might be a day you don't have batteries or something. You can never go wrong with wired. So it is doing its thing. I guess what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna pause the video for a second, and then when we get something on the screen, I will come back because I don't want to hold you guys if it's gonna take just a moment as it's telling us. All right, you guys, we are back. It only took like maybe about an additional minute and a half. And we're back. So we can see here that is obviously working. Like I said, I only have usage through my keyboard right now. So keyboard. Skip. Can we skip? Agreement, license agreement. We're just gonna say yes. All right, I just had to enter in a couple of personal information. just naming a few other things. Settings for your device. Location, find my device. I don't know if I want any of these things on there. Location, we're gonna go no for right now. I don't trust anything. Find my device, no. Diagnostics, this goes no. Type what? Send optional link. No. Tailor experience, no. Advertising ID, no. Stop trying to learn me. So once again, like I said, all these things are not even gonna matter because I'm gonna wipe all this stuff out regardless. But I'm just trying to, for right now, see what's up. Now, so far to me, it looks safe, but like I said, I don't trust you know, companies when it comes to all that, because you never know. You know, you might yourself think that everything's good, and then next thing you know, you have a lot of problems. So like I said, definitely go and wipe that. Everything is working. So I think at this point now, like I said, I'm not going to do a deep dive into everything. I'm debating whether I want to wait and see everything on here, just to kind of see, to give confirmation that everything is okay. Like I said, I'm going to wipe everything anyway, so it probably really doesn't matter. So I could probably just stop here for you guys, 'cause I don't know how long this is going to take. But yeah, as I said before, you guys, there's just a quick unboxing, but it's not quick anymore, but it's an unboxing of this, of what you guys get inside it. So if there's anything substantial after this, I will add it. If it looks like anything seems kind of, like I said, anything seems funny or substantial, I'll add it. So in the meantime, I am gonna stop here. And if I don't return, then as always, like, share, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. All right, you guys, I'm doing this. I stopped recording for this, but I think I'm just gonna tack this on at the end of the other piece because it ended up being a lot quicker for the processing time than what I thought. So I was gonna end the video, but I just wanted to show that how it's starting off here. I don't have, like I said before, I don't have full control, but it looks good because it doesn't have, there's no you know, Windows, I'm sorry, there's no up in the corner, what am I thinking? I'm having a brain fart right now. Chrome. People before said there was reported to have Chrome on it, and there's no Chrome. So that's that. So I don't know what that means. What I'll probably do is run it by my friend, ask him some questions, because he's a computer tech guy and he knows all this kind of stuff. And if he goes, okay, like runs me on the things I have to check, then I can do that. And that might be enough. Like I said, the only issue right now is I don't have, I can't even get out of this. I don't have a mouse, so I'm very limited in what I can do. I'm not familiar with kind of hotkeys or anything of that sort, so it's not like a situation where I'm able to, you know, kind of get my way to, say, to another area of it. I'm not too sure. So, all right, well, it is what it is, you guys. Yeah. So at least you guys see it. To me, it looks like it's no problem. You see that it started up, is able to work. So like I said, if you guys are interested in this, I really recommend it because, as said before, this is nice for like a starter gaming PC. This should handle everything that is the equivalent of Xbox 360, PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4. I don't know what came out for Xbox after that. Was it Xbox One? I'm not too familiar. It should handle all of that. This thing, from what I've seen, and I'm going to try to run a couple things, but when I get it started and everything gets going, this, I've seen people say can run up to Cyberpunk 2077. Is that the titles? I don't know the numbers on the back end. 2077. It can run it, but something probably around 30 frames per second, and it probably has a lot of the specs lowered to some degree, or at least like mid-level game run with like mid-level specs running with 30 frames per second. So I don't know, I'm not familiar with the gaming world, like I said, in a long time. I don't know if that's considered okay, or if a lot of hardcore gamers are like, no, that's way too slow. I want, 60 frames, 90 frames. I don't know what they go up to. But if you're coming from old console systems from 10 years ago, like me, you probably would be fine with 30 frames per second, mid to lower, pushing the specs, pushing the requirements down to the mid to the lower range and being fine with it, because you just want something to play on, something to game, and you're not really too big in it. If you're a hardcore gamer, this may not be for you. As far as also, I've seen where it said things like Marvel Rivals, which is a current game right now. I've seen that was being ran 1080p. I'm sorry, the Cyberpunk was being run at 720p on those frame rates of 30 frames per second. So obviously this is kind of lower for some people. I came from gaming that you didn't even have HD gaming. You were still using the component cables. So for me, that's not a big deal. But as far as Marvel Rivals, I've seen it, some specs saying 1080p on the lower end, not the mid range of running your specs, but the low end of the requirement. So you got to put your specs down low, 1080p. And I think it was able to do 30 frames or maybe 60 frames. I'm not too sure. It might've been 30 frames. Maybe somewhere in between that, 40 something frames to run that. So that kind of gives you an idea of where this stands in terms of a modern game, because my friend wanted me to play that with him, and that is where this thing would land. Now I'm going to test it out, but this should be within that realm of that type of power spec. So it kind of gives you a guys idea of what this could run. So if you just want something just to game on, have fun, I'm going to put Steam on this. I'm new to Steam. If you want to be able to just run a lot of different games, this should be able to handle majority of games, because keep in mind too, at where we're at in this current timeline, and most current gamers know this, but for those who are just getting to the beginning space, you can run so many older games on this type of system without a problem. This, like I said, is equal to probably at least the PS4 and the equivalent Xbox. I don't know if that was considered Xbox One. I'm not sure the name, but at least all from that and below should run without a problem, and all those type of games should be available to you through Steam. So that at least tells you that it should be fun for you to run for yourself, maybe your kids, if you don't want to pay an expensive amount on a heavy gaming system. And like I said, it should be able to run all the current games at very low specs. If you had to push it, it should be able to do that, from my understanding. Not maybe the greatest, hugest titles, but most of them should be able to be run on the lower spec level if you need to. So this is saying 1080p, maybe even 720p, 30 frames, 30 frames per second. Maybe, not having some of those, ray tracing and aliasing and all those kind of other crazy things that computer people know of. So, all right, you guys, so we are back, and in this part of the video, we're gonna actually test out this system in regards to it playing games, because the purpose of why I bought it was for games, but I only really bought it for really kind of just getting back into games. So we're gonna see how it performs. Like I said before, what came in this was the Ryzen 7 5800U. And that's supposed to be more like the mobile version. And I'm gonna activate Steam here really quick. Now, I am new to all this gaming stuff, for coming back into it. I haven't been into gaming since Xbox 360. And the controller I am using is an Xbox 360 controller. So it is still usable, it is still compatible. One of the reasons that got me back into it was because I wanted to get back into Left 4 Dead. I recently had, and I'm going to test out Marvel Rivals as well. A friend of mine wanted me to get into that, and excuse me, I don't want the volume to be too loud for you guys. And so I had downloaded Marvel Rivals, like I said, because a friend wanted me to get into it, but I really wanted to get back into Left 4 Dead 2, because I got my I pulled out my old Xbox 360, which I haven't played in a very long time, obviously because it's a dated system, and for my sons to get into, and seeing the Left 4 Dead 2 again just got me right back into that space. But unfortunately, you can't play that online. So I did some research, found out that, I would be able to get into it from here. So that's what I did. And this is just a guide to show you guys that it's capable of keeping up with the with this level of game. And then what we'll do also afterwards, I'm not familiar with playing Marvel Rivals like that, but I will show it to you just so you can see that it's capable of handling that. Now understand too, most of these small gaming PCs come with 16 gigabytes of RAM. I'm not too heavy familiar with these kind of specs either, so this is a good test to show you guys somebody who is not really a gamer and coming into this space from not really being a gamer. Let me give us a little bit of volume on here. Now you can see here that it handles this. Is obviously a dated title, but it handles it without a problem. And sorry you guys, I'm not familiar with things like mirroring what's on the screen automatically onto the the video. So don't mind that I'm a little dated when it comes to that, but nonetheless, happy to be able to show you guys this. Now, since playing this, again, I've had no problems with, like I said, running things. It runs smooth. Obviously, for a title that's from Xbox 360, now that came out in, I want to say it was 2010, maybe 2009. So this is handling a title of that such without a problem. I'm not going to stay on this for too long, you guys. Just want to. And if you guys have an old controller, like an Xbox 360 controller, it's not a problem to handle this. The reason why I'm mentioning that too is because also, though, I ended up getting a another controller that I'm going to actually end up reviewing also in regards to how that feels. Now, to me, the old Xbox 360 controls were always perfect. I had no problem with them. The only reason why I purchased another controller is because I want to preserve the life of my Xbox 360 controllers, which currently right now there are no problems with. And yeah, so I didn't want to end up having that be an issue. So you can see as far as the gameplay goes that it plays without a problem. Now, Marvel Rivals is a free title. My thing is always acting funny with some of these things. Let's see. But it plays. Now, I guess it's doing an update. Is it doing an update right now? I hope it's not. All right. Continue. I've tried to download the drivers. It doesn't, I don't know, for whatever reason, it doesn't end up telling me that I need it, but then I'm end up able to play anyway. So let's just see. I'm going to pause the video real quick and we're going to, when I come back, because I don't know how long this is going to take. Let's see. Is it ready to go? Let's see if it's ready to go. Okay, here we go. Now, I don't know as far as specs. You can Google what's required for Marvel Rivals. I had seen it say a few different things before when I looked it up, and I wasn't sure if my thing would be able to handle it. Now, I'm not familiar. Like I said, this is more of a review of a non-gamer who is gaming. What do I mean by that? I don't know any of these kind of specs like a lot of people might know. I don't know any of that in regards to people saying like things like bringing down the specs so you could play a game. I don't know how to do any of that kind of stuff. So I just download it and I play. And I'm assuming that it will be set to the most optimum within the specs of my system. I think I had seen that before. So And I say that to say, I don't know if, let me use the mouse to just get us there. I don't know if this is pushing the hardest specs. Let me back up. I don't know if this is pushing the hardest specs or current specs. You guys would know better than I do, but at least it's a current game. So at least there's that. At least it's a current game, meaning that it's modern, using modern specs. I don't know if it's the most power intense kind of game, but at least it gives you a sense of that this system is able to run it. Like I said before, my system has 32 gigs of, I believe, DDR4 RAM. But let me select, I don't even really know how to use a lot of characters on here, but a friend of mine who told me about downloading the game started teaching me about Punisher and a little bit about Iron Man. I felt like Punisher seems to be like a very good starter character. So now I'm not gonna go into the details of the game. This is really just showing about the system and it being able to support. But obviously you can see here that it handles it. I don't know how to play, obviously, but it is handling the game. You guys would know better than I would if, you know, the level of the graphics that are being displayed. I'm coming from the days of Xbox 360. So like I said, I'm a non-gamer type of person. And so this review might be good for the people who are like in my shoes where, let's see, just making sure I know my items and whatnot. So and I got knocked out. But so, all right, so pretty much you guys get the idea. I'm gonna exit to the desktop. So, yeah, you guys got a chance to see the performance and whatnot. Sorry that I ruined somebody's game by jumping in and doing whatever, but like I said, I'm not really very skilled, but I wanted to show you guys this game to show you guys how it plays with a more advanced modern game versus playing with a older game, which is like Left 4 Dead, which is what I like to play. And it handles it. Now, graphically, I don't know if you guys consider that to be, you know, on point. That's that you guys could answer or determine. I really don't know, you know, what's considered good and what's considered not. But like I said, from a review coming from someone who is not a gamer or not a modern gamer in any kind of capacity, to me, the graphics look great. You know, it looks great. So I think the people who should really be kind of focusing on, like I said, my unboxing of this thing, my review of this thing, seeing the gameplay, is really someone coming from that space of you used the game maybe 15 years ago, you now want to get back into it, and 10 or 15 years ago, you want to get back into it, you don't know where to start, your demands aren't very high, you don't have this over expectation of it's got to be this, it's got to be that. You just simply, I want to play a game, I want to have fun, that's it. You could get into one of these systems. Most of them, for about maybe $250, will have the and this is going for any of the mini gaming PCs, not just the one I have here, but we'll have like about 16 gigs of often I think it's DDR4 RAM. I don't know the difference between DDR4 and DDR5, other than that DDR5 is newer and supposed to be better, but nonetheless, most people are still gaming with DDR4. And They usually say you want to have dual channels memory. What that means is that rather than have one stick that is a 16 gig, if you have a 16 gig, you want it to be 2 8 gigs, because I guess that allows it to break up the workload a little easier. Like I said, if you're fortunate enough to get, because I hear that that RAM right now is very expensive, from one of my friends who actually guided me on what to look for in terms of a mini PC. And he said that RAM is very expensive right now. So with that being said, you're probably going to be looking at for about $250, 16 gigs, which should be fine, I'm sure, to obviously play something like Left 4 Dead 2 and those kind of classic games that come from Xbox 360, PlayStation 3. If you're trying to play things that are coming from more modern titles, Rivals was put out on a PlayStation 5. I know that only because a friend of mine who wanted me to get this has it on his PlayStation 5 and on his PC. You can see here that it plays it. Like I said before, I don't know to the level that it's playing it, but it will play it. And this thing will play most modern games. But like I said before, I have 32 gigs of RAM, and that's probably compensating a lot to make up a difference for, this has an integrated graphics card. With this, the Ryzen 7 series 5800U, one, I've seen that's considered pretty decent. Well, the gaming friend, there was two people. One friend told me to get into the game and get this game. Another friend knew about PCs and was the one who guided me. He's also the one who bought my friend who plays Marvel Rivals, helped him build up his PC. So he told me that the 5800U or the 5800H is a good one to jump into. You don't want to go less than that in terms of the gaming for the modern gaming now, at least what he said. So I know there's other different ones out there. What is this? Is this a patch I can get right now? Let's see this. Let's jump into that if it's free download. I don't know, my mouse is acting a little bit funny, but anyway, you guys, sorry to get off topic, you guys. So if you have one of those, get one of those, processors of that level, and you could do your research on that level or above, I really do think that my RAM is compensating for a lot, because this does integrated graphics, and having double the RAM that most sets are getting for this price, I think is playing a big role in allowing me to handle these games. So I can't speak on that, on what a 16 gig would be looking, 16 gigs of RAM would be looking on the system. I'm gonna imagine that it's still gonna be able to play modern games like Marvel Rivals. It just might have to lower the specs a little bit more, because obviously double the RAM is playing some kind of significant benefit to it. Some games that I do want to get into maybe later on, just for the sake of checking them out, but I don't know if or when I will do that, is things like Cyberpunk 2077, which I hear is very demanding, yet I've watched some reviews on similar PC systems that were able to handle it, but the graphics, everything had to be dumbed down very low, but those were ones with 16 gigs. So I will say, if you can find on something like eBay, just be careful. If you can get yourself a system that has 32 gigs, do it. If not, most of the standards are 16 gigs. And just like I said, be mindful of what you'll be able to play. So that's all. I'm going to end the video here. And as always, you guys, like, share, comment, subscribe. I will be doing a follow-up video because, like I said, I just recently purchased, and it came in the mail, a new controller. And so I'm going to unbox that. And then I'm going to do another playthrough on these same games with that controller, just to kind of evaluate how that controller feels. And as always, you guys, like, share, comment, subscribe. And I'll catch you guys in the next video.